Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The Superman movie was just released, and we need to talk about the post-credit scenes and the ending of the movie. They do set up what's going to be happening next in the big DC movies, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, be sure to go see it, and careful for spoilers, because we will be talking about everything that happens at the very end of the movie. You're not seeing double. There was a copyright issue that forced me to repost this video this way. I will be doing a much longer breakdown of all the Easter eggs from the entire movie in my next video, so be sure to subscribe to get everything, because there is a lot to talk about. But there's been a long-running gag in both DC movies and Marvel movies, a lot of movies just in general, not just comic book movies, where they tend to put a lot of the really big revealing scenes in the trailers. They actually released the mid-credit scene as a full-on promo much earlier this year. Like, they already released the mid-credit scene. I think the saving grace there is that it's not a huge spoiler because it's not setting up some future movie, it's just a nice bookend to a moment from earlier in the film. It is always hilarious when you actually spot the mid-credits or the post-credits in the previous trailers. We used to make fun of Sony a lot for that, but Marvel themselves, like Marvel Studios and DC, have also done that many times before. Just putting all the post-credits, all the mid-credits, all the big revealing stuff in all the early trailers. But at the end of the film, Superman defeats Lex Luthor with the help of the Daily Planet reporters, mostly Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane for the win, working together to reveal all of Lex's backdoor dealings with the Baravian government invading the Jarn-Pur country during the film. Lex had orchestrated the entire foreign invasion subplot just as an elaborate excuse to get the US government to approve his attempt to kill Superman, so that he wouldn't go to prison for just outright killing Superman. And it was only just as a side benefit that he barely cared about that he had slowly been acquiring the rights to half of the new combined foreign territory after the Baravian government was going to invade and take over the other foreign country. It was meant to be a big callback to the real estate plot from the Christopher Reeve Superman movie with the Gene Hackman version of Lex Luthor, where he was going to sink the West Coast into the ocean and buy up a bunch of land in the desert that would then become the new coastline and worth vastly more money. There was even an Otisburg reference in his naming of his half of the upcoming country as it would exist after they had finished.
Where's this monster? She's got her own place, man.
Otisburg?
It's a little bitty place.
Otisburg?
But as a result of the Daily Planet exposing everything that he did, he gets arrested and sent to the Belle Reve prison, which we saw during the Suicide Squad movies, both of them. Same exact prison that they were all in both of those movies. But Amanda Waller used to run it, not anymore. She's not in this movie. I'll explain what happened to her during my full breakdown and Easter eggs video next. It's currently Rick Flagg's senior, Frank Grillo's character, who's running Argus during the events of the movie. We'll also talk more about him in the full breakdown video. He will be back as a big character in Peacemaker Season 2, which is releasing next month. Peacemaker himself, John Cena, also had a funny cameo in the movie as part of the whole conspiracy subplot. That's kind of Peacemaker's thing, is spouting off about conspiracy theories. We see the Justice Gang helping Superman and Argus clean up Lex Luthor's pocket dimension and rescue all the people he had trapped there, ex-girlfriends, political prisoners from other countries that had hired Lex to interrogate people that they didn't want people to know that they were interrogating. It was meant to be his sort of Guantanamo Bay, a place where he wasn't subject to any laws and could do whatever he wanted because it was a pocket dimension. It wasn't subject to America or the rest of the world's laws. So it's also where he performed a lot of his very dangerous experiments. It's where he cloned Superman to create Ultraman. Yes, I do think that Ultraman is going to return from that black hole at some point as a version of Bizarro, because there are a lot of Bizarro comments that they make when they reference his character through the movie, like he's dumber but much stronger than Superman, which is Bizarro's characteristics in the comics. It's also the place where he created the kaiju, everything shady that he wanted to keep hidden. He even had a bunch of monkeys on typewriters as a troll farm on social media, bad-mouthing Superman 24/7. It was just meant to be a funny moment that they then paid off at the end of the movie when they rescued all the monkeys and Krypto started chasing them around on the street. Superman then rushes off to kiss Lois Lane and float through the air. That was in all the trailers. Perry White makes a comment about Lois Lane going out with Superman, and Jimmy Olsen was like, I think it's been going on for about 3 months. So like everybody in the world will now know that Lois Lane is in a relationship with Superman. He goes back to the Fortress of Solitude to heal. The Kryptonian robots have since repaired themselves, and the number 4 robot, played by Alan Tudyk, gives himself the name Gary. He's credited as Gary during the end credits.
With a healthy dose of yellow sun, we'll have you up and at 'em in no time.
Then we get a really big moment. Millie Alcock's Supergirl shows up to tease her Supergirl movie, complaining that he moved the front door to the Fortress of Solitude, and Superman says that Gary did it as a security measure. But the whole reason why she's able to open the door is because she has similar DNA. She's part of his biological extended family, and the door is coded to Superman's DNA. She's still very drunk, and Superman explains to Gary that Supergirl likes to visit galaxies with red suns so that she can get drunk because of their biology, so that she can basically party. They treat her kind of like a chaotic, wild child college girl in the movie. Very, very different portrayal than, say, Melissa's Arrowverse Supergirl. She calls Superman a bitch, takes Krypto back. Superman had just been fostering him, watching him for Supergirl while she was away partying in another system. Superman then jokes with Gary that her bad behavior is exactly why Krypto is so misbehaved, because she's not doing a good job of training him or setting a good example. This is all meant to set up the events of the Supergirl movie, which will release next year. It's like the next big DC Studios movie that James Gunn's releasing in the DCU. It's based on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King, where she goes to a foreign planet under a red sun where she's getting drunk at a bar on a planet for her 21st birthday. Krypto is also with her during that story. That movie will also be really important because Jason Momoa is coming back as Lobo during that. They haven't released an official image of him, but we've gotten some behind the scenes of it, so we'll probably get a trailer for that by the end of the year. I will do totally separate videos about that at some point when we start getting some more footage. You notice the design language of her suit is similar to Superman's, same design with the House of El as symbol too, as you would expect, same exact symbol. She does have the skirt, which is from the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic as well. It's like a slightly longer skirt. Superman then watches home movies from the Kent farm in his childhood growing up happy. A lot of those scenes were actually in the trailers, but they worked it into him basically watching home movies at the fortress. It's meant to pay off the line from earlier that he had watched the message from his Kryptonian parents regularly, Jor-El and Lara, to comfort himself. Also, Jor-El confirmed as Bradley Cooper. James Gunn made it sound like at some point Bradley Cooper would come back as Jor-El in future DC movies in some way. But the idea is that now he's comforting himself by watching home movies with his Earth parents, not his Kryptonian parents.
I love you, Don.
Over the actual end credits, they play a Mighty Crabjoys song to pay off a couple bits from earlier in the movie when Superman is arguing with Lois Lane about the Mighty Crabjoys being a good band that many people like, but the joke there was that he was many people. He liked the Crabjoys. Later in the movie, when Lois Lane takes him to the Kent farm to recover, she notices the poster for the Mighty Crabjoys in his childhood bedroom and kind of chuckles to herself like, I get it now. They're meant to be a fake band that James Gunn created, but they actually made a real band for this movie that wrote an actual song that they performed, and they appeared during Creature Commandos. They'll be back during Peacemaker Season 2. They're kind of a Mighty Boss Tones reference, who in real life are a ska punk band that I guess James Gunn liked, so he made a fake version of them for the DCU. They have actually released the official soundtrack on all the different platforms around the internet too, so you can actually listen to this Mighty Crabjoy song right now. There are a lot of people that wondered if this was also an Easter egg to the band that James Gunn used to be in real life. I don't think necessarily, like he wasn't in a ska band before this or like a ska punk band, but you could think of it as an Easter egg for that. One of the other punk songs that play during the end credits, because they are very long credits, is Iggy Pop's punk rocker song. So there is a lot of punk just in general over the end credits. Mostly, I think that's just another callback to Lois Lane's argument with Superman about what is punk and what is not punk earlier in the movie. During the mid-credits scene, it's Superman and Krypto sitting on the moon watching the Earth made to look exactly like the same scene from All-Star Superman, Grant Morrison's comic, which heavily inspired a lot of aspects in the movie. Remember, they released this promo earlier this year, like a very long version of them just hanging out on the moon watching the Earth. Kind of funny because they released the post-credit scene way, way before the actual movie came out. It's not really meant to set up any future movies, though. It's just meant to bookend their arc in the movie, so technically it's not really a spoiler. Then the actual post-credit scene is just a funny scene of Mr. Terrific and Superman paying off the pocket dimension subplot from earlier in the movie. Superman pisses Mr. Terrific off when he says that he didn't totally fix the pocket dimensional rift correctly, and the buildings look a little bit crooked when they actually pushed all of the Earth back together. Mr. Terrific, exasperated, starts kicking rocks, cursing Superman as he walks off, and Superman tries to apologize to him for mentioning the imperfection, stating that he can be a jerk sometimes, like I sure can be a jerk. When they go back to the final credits, they transition from the Mighty Crabjoys song to a rendition of the classic John Williams theme music. They'd baked a lot of echoes and chords from the classic John Williams Superman theme music into the entire movie. Most of the time, though, it was updated versions of it, which is echoes, but John Murphy and the other composer are doing new versions of that. John Murphy did the music for James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie previously, in some of his Guardians of the Galaxy projects. That's the connection. There were many longtime James Gunn collaborators working behind the camera and in front of the camera as actors, so you probably a lot of familiar people that you will spot from his previous movies in this. We will talk about all of them during my full breakdown and Easter eggs video, which will be my next big video, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. And everybody just post all your reactions to the end credits and the ending of the movie. If there are any other Easter eggs or references in the ending of the movie or the post-credit scene that I didn't talk about in this video that you have questions about, just write them below in the comments. But the next big thing we need to see is how long it's going to take to get a Superman sequel if we actually do get a Superman 2. James Gunn could also pull a Zack Snyder, instead of doing Superman 2, just do a world's finest movie with Superman and Batman next. Everybody click here for that next big video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for my review of the movie. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.